Okay, this is session 3 of Dungeon World, the Bone Crown of someone, of Old King Smule. Bone Crown of Old King Smule. Our final session. Before we kick off, I left you guys on like a real tough cliffhanger, but before we pick up with that, I want to like have a quick conversation about flags, and I want to have a separate conversation after that about sticking the landing on our story here. Okay, this is something that I do that's that a lot of GMs don't do. Like I like to have this kind of discussion in the final session. So as far as flags go, if you have a flag on your sheet that hasn't been hit yet, that you're particularly interested in seeing hit, and that is feasible to be hit given the circumstances of what we're doing, let us know. Take a look for a sec and just like call it out so that myself and the other players could be thinking about like ways of making that flag scene happen. Okay, I'll give you guys a second to do that, and just call them out as you have them. So.
So both of my flags have been hit, but I noticed that I didn't hit any flags for the past 2 sessions. So that's something that I really want to try and do this session. Not really for the XP bonus per se, but just for the narrative, trying to encourage some interesting decisions.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, well, with that in mind, like, who wants to offer something up to Ridley as far as like a flag that might be a great one to hit? Given our heightened circumstances in the fiction right now, with like every classic D&D monster at your door.
So I am replacing one of my flags now that I've got the heirloom move, and it's going to be reject me after witnessing Dumas' control or power or something. So something of that nature.
Say it one more time. What was it again?
So the spirit or whatever, whenever
I
use it, just basically reject me after witnessing its power or control.
Got it. Good. I'm into that. I had a thought on that. This is totally out of character stuff, and I'm somewhat at the risk of doing a in fiction spoiler, but I feel like this is the right way to handle it. So Old King Smule, the apparition of Old King Smule, actually like spoke to you, Laurent, and said, "I'm glad you answered the call." Right? What do you think about like Dumas being connected to Old King Smule in some way? Because I was thinking, like, why else would he have said that to you specifically, right?
He could have been like his, right hand, leader of his armies or something.
I like that because what we're seeing happening in the fiction is the servants of Old King Smule are gathering at the Blue Keep, right? So we've got like all the Beastmen, we've got this Drow assassin, these 3 fire giants, this black dragon, this beholder. They're all there. I like the idea of Dumas being one of them. Like he was also answering the call, and maybe Old King Smule was speaking to Dumas. Maybe he's looking right through you, right?
Right. So, yeah, I love it. Makes total sense to me.
Awesome. Let's get back to our other question though about flags, and in particular one that we think would work for Ridley. That one seems pretty obvious. If I can make it happen in the fiction, the follow-up scene is pretty easy there. So
yeah, like I said, feel free to use that against me or whatever if I get a 6-.
Will do. Got it.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that's something that would be pretty easy to hit.
Yeah, I can see lots of opportunities for it to happen. So it's good to know. This is why we have these conversations. It's a good conversation. Any other flag notes?
Something else for Oliver. One of mine is offer me an easier solution. Offer me an easier solution I must refuse on principle. It seems something like a thief might try to find a way around something that I must refuse. If I'm understanding the exercise.
I think that's right. I mean, one thing, just to kind of throw out an opportunity there, Ridley, for that, if you do want to try to hit that one, I think what's going to become like really sort of in play in this scenario is whether you guys abandon the Blue Keep to its fate or not, right? And Ridley, Oliver already doesn't really give a shit about Lady Stout of Heart, or at least has like bad negative feelings toward her, right? So I could see a situation where it's like, hey, we bail, right? But then like maybe Solomon is like, no, we stay or whatever. I don't know. That's just an option. It's just an idea. But I think that's going to be a big point of tension in the series during the session. So.
Okay, awesome.
Isabella, you got one?
I mean, I feel like we hit mine pretty solidly last go around,
right.
And I don't have anything I'm really driving for right now.
Yeah, nothing wrong with backseating it. No big deal. Cool. Let's talk about the other thing I want to talk about, which is kind of sticking the landing. Strictly out of character, and it may not go this way. The dice might dictate something different. The situations might turn out differently. But what do we think about where this story ends? Kind of going back to this idea of your mission, what you're there to do, which is now suddenly like extremely pressed, right? Like how do you conduct a low-grade investigation, you know, like in the middle of all this, right? Totally your fault, right? By going to the crypt so early, just so you know. But as far as like, you know, like that's a thing. There's the idea of like these evil forces, like amassing against the Blue Keep. There's the idea of whatever, like just generally old King Smule coming back into the world or whatever he's doing. I'd like to just get your guys' thoughts on like where you'd like to see the story go. Doesn't mean that's where it's going to go. Just like your ideas of where you think it might go.
I could see us coming, you know, as far as, you know, okay, we need to go find Morvo and kill him. I mean, the Fog of War is a great cover for doing that.
Yeah. So
there's also the situation with Osera, which is particular to Solomon, but important, I think. Yeah, so just another little tidbit.
Yeah, so I don't know, like who this keeper is or what he's keeper of in character. Like the title of the series suggests like he's the keeper of Bone Crown
of Old King Smule, right? But you guys don't know it in character. That's the basic problem, right?
Yeah, so it would just, I don't know. It seems like I'm hoping he reveals himself. Because I don't know that we're going to be able to find him.
Yeah, now that we've got the crown.
Yeah. And now that like the army of Old King Smule is amassed, you'd think this guy would be like a prominent figure, but maybe not. I don't know.
Well, so that's the thing. It might have gotten out of Morvo's hands, right? Like that could be a thing that happened, right? Out of character. Like Morvo may not have anticipated this, right? Like
yeah.
So because if you'll remember in the little coda at the end there last session, Old King Smule said, "Now that the beacon is lit." So
right.
What about Osera?
Yeah, I've been thinking about that. I think that I mean, it depends on what's about to happen, obviously, but I think that Solomon is very concerned, having seen. Characters didn't see the epilogue, but we saw there's at least some infiltration of this keep, right?
Right. Yeah, the beholder, right, is the main idea there. Yeah.
Right. Which means that puts Osera in danger, and Solomon had a brief. He's got a date tonight, and wants to keep that engagement. So
yeah, I mean the attack hasn't begun yet, so you know.
Right.
Okay. If there's no other thoughts, I feel pretty good about that. I just want to kind of feel you guys. Or Ridley, you didn't say anything. Sorry, Ridley. I just totally cut you off.
No worries. The only thing that I was really interested in was checking out. I guess this, you called it a beacon in the last session. The pendants glowing hot behind this false wall. I feel like
you want to see what's behind there, don't you?
yeah. Like, it makes sense to check that out. All things considered, in character.
It is the thing that like is the great mystery, right? You know. Yeah. I was also like, I mean, I knew what was down there in the crypt, and so I knew how it was going to go if you guys did certain things. I'd already thought about that, but yeah, like it was definitely designed to be kind of a session 3 thing, I think. But I thought it was, yeah, like yeah, I like the crypts the crypts were kind of like a set piece for the beholder, right? Like that was the idea behind the crypts. And I didn't know you guys were going to go down there so early. So it's a classic case of zigging when I thought you would zag. So
I mean, it only makes sense, you go down there first so that after you kill the guy, you can immediately get the hell out of Dodge.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, well, I think so. What I thought was going to happen was you guys were going to conduct a more like forensic investigation about Morvo, like in the castle before. But what I think happened though was the idea of the ebony quills, an idea that took off, right? And then also when David asked, well, "Where's the place of power?" The only place I could think of was the crypt. The crypt's the only thing that made sense. So it just kind of circumstances pushed us down there. But yeah, because I think it would have been a really different session, not better necessarily, but it would have been really different if you guys had not gone to the crypt when you did. So
can I add one more thing?
Sure.
Sorry, I was thinking about this spider hand for most of the evening.
as you do.
As you do. Wake up at 3 a.m. Feeling like you're being attacked by spiders. And so I messaged you about taking on an additional class move in the level up. And so I was thinking about taking on one of the things I was wanting to play with would be I forget the name, or maybe I didn't get the name fully. Angola, the spider that's in the other realm.
Malgoliant. I'll type
Malgolia. And trying to play Mongolian. Thank you. Trying to play with that as a sort of a secondary divinity, perhaps like so the miracle worker move adds an additional focus called the divinity, which I'm trying to like split between labor and this spider like influence, which might explain some weird spider-ish abilities, but not.
I'm incredibly in love with it. Anybody who's been following the series on YouTube, who's watching this moment right now, is really excited to hear you say that, because Malgoliant was the enemy from the very first handful of sessions, and then we basically forgot about her for like 20 or 25 sessions, or about 20 sessions, and then we discovered very recently that she's actually the one making all this happen, right? Like she is the big cosmic puppet master, right? And so it's kind of like apropos that you are now entering. You're not the first priest to enter her service, incidentally, who didn't realize they were doing so.
Fantastic.
So yeah, it sounds good. Cool. Good talk. Thanks. One other thing. I let you guys take advances, even though it wasn't really fictionally appropriate, but nevertheless, everybody should have taken advances, I think. I wanted to know what I know we've got the Duma Spirit Heirloom. What mage move are you actually taking there, Solomon?
Yeah, so I think that's going to be black magic.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. Sounds great. And Oliver, what move did you take?
So I took the underdog, the +1 armor when outnumbered.
Nice. Okay, good. Probably not a bad move if you guys end up in the middle of a throng of beastmen. So
yeah, maybe a little bit selfish, but I think that's
Yeah, thieves tend to do a lot of thief characters that I play with. They usually like pick up the score pretty quickly, and they're like, "I'm going to take every move that keeps me alive," because the thief has lots of them. So, good. All right, calling you out, Fraser and Weary. So,
a burn.
total Weary burn. You're rushing. You were trying to figure out this sort of second entrance or secret entrance into the crypts, wherever the beholder came from, where you think Osara came from. And just a reminder that Laurent is still tiny, riding on someone's shoulder. And you hear... Did someone get a missed roll? Is that why I'm doing this?
There was I rolled an 8 for an investigate for a discern realities about where Osara had gone, and then the helping of that Ridley got a 5, I think.
Whoever got that 5, I want you to choose who the target of the beam is. It can't be Laurent. It can be yourself, or it can be Isabella, or it can be Oliver.
Well, I think Oliver was the one doing the action, so it's probably appropriate for him to take the beam.
So kind.
Noble.
I'd have thrown them under the bus in a minute. All right. No, I'm kidding. I don't know what I've done.
Isabella will still try and counterspell.
Yeah, I think that's. Yeah, I think so. We'll see how it goes. I assume you always kind of have a counterspell kind of ready to go, like at last syllable or whatever. Beholder spins into view. Right in front of you. You see the eye stalk that's got pointed at you. Big problem, Isabella. Beholders have anti-magic ray come out of their middle eye, so your counterspell does not work. Beam fires off at you, Ridley, straight at you. What do you do? Or Oliver, sorry.
I'm going to drop to the ground. This beam's coming pretty quick. I don't know if I can necessarily gather the strength to jump out of the way. But
dropping to the ground that's a solution that might put your companions at risk. But roll plus dexterity for defy danger.
6.
Mark an XP. The blast just hits you. I actually didn't have any ideas of which beam this was. So let me just roll a die. He's got one. Okay. Beam hits you. Give me a con roll. On a 10 plus, the beam has no effect. On a miss, the beam does a d10 damage. Sorry, on a 7-9, the beam does d10 damage. On miss, it does best of 2d10 plus 2.
I think I might want to use my hold and say this is how the letter described I was going to die.
Yes, good move. I love it. I love it. You get an XP for doing that.
Okay, so that gives me a +1 on this roll?
No, it just gives you an XP. That's it.
Oh, just gives me an XP.
Otherwise, you just roll a con.
So do I still add the con stat then?
You do add the con stat, yeah.
It's just a 9.
Okay, you take a d10 damage. So, which is kind of a lame mid result, if I'm being honest. But no, fuck that. You take no damage. I think the damage would be on the miss. I think that's the better formulation of this move. On a 7-9, you're just going to take a -1 ongoing for a bit. Okay.
Okay.
The beam hits you, and you just feel like just a -1 forward. The beam hits you, and you just feel like it kind of knocks you back a little bit, and you're kind of like off your feet. But you feel just a little drained. You're not hurt though, otherwise. Isabella, you fling your hand up to counterspell, and you realize, oh fuck, that didn't work. What do you do?
So are you saying that it shot me with a beam from its middle eye?
Its middle eye pulsates a wide cone of anti-magic. So
except it doesn't apply to itself.
It doesn't apply to itself. Yeah, it only applies to other magics.
Okay.
It's a machine. Beholders are a machine designed to kill adventuring parties.
This is why people always thought that the GM was adversarial to the players. I'm just saying.
It's the Beholder. It's not me, man.
I throw a knife at it.
Blame Gary Gygax.
I do. I throw a knife at its middle eye.
Volley, go for it.
I've got a 9, so I can't choose ammo. What are the other two choices? Oh, I think I just have to take what I can get. No. I have to step to, because I really want to hit that eye.
Okay.
So I'll step into. I have to move to get the shot or whatever.
Go for it. Roll your damage.
Okay, it's nominal. It's a D4. 3 damage.
Nice, good enough. It hits, and there's just like a spray of like gore, and you feel that like sort of oppressive astral weight that was coming from the eye. You feel that kind of like loose. Okay. Switching over to Solomon, what do you do?
Do I also recognize that that this sort of anti-magic bubble has been diffused, or
yeah. I think I was basically letting Isabella get away with it because Isabella's like more tuned to like the arcane, right? You probably weren't even aware of it at all in the first place. So.
Okay.
So real quick, I like to say, I'm probably on Solomon's shoulder. Like, Solomon, throw me on top of that creature.
That's a great move.
We'll see if he decides to do it. But.
Is there? Yeah, I kind of want.
So dangerous, but I'm here for it.
Can you volley a character?
Go ahead, Ridley.
I was saying, can you volley a character?
Sure, why not? Yeah.
It's like beer pong.
Well, I'm trying to think if I can like invoke Ponos here to revive Laurent to regular size, like to conduct his labor
I
with
don't
him.
have that kind of time. Yeah, okay. That sounds like a more like in-depth, serious prayer.
Sure. All right. In which case, I will do as Laurent requests and sort of like link him over,
chuck him, right?
And I think I want to
roll dexterity. Really, I think that's the more appropriate stat.
That is a 13.
Okay.
I mean a 12. I don't have a plus there.
I'll also remind you guys, one thing you want to keep in mind too is you each have that preparation from earlier too. So just remember that.
Yeah.
Awesome. You go. You get Laurent. You give me the flight through the air. What is this like?
So I think I've I already pulled my sword out, and basically just kind of he grabs around me, and just tosses me, and using my sword to kind of break the air for aerodynamics.
Yeah.
And then just kind of probably just barely make it up on top of this guy.
Yeah.
And just kind of, come to a rolling land on top of him. And now I'm just going to start trying to chop off these eye stalks.
I love it. Isabella, you had to move a little orthogonally to get your shot on the beholder. And in doing so, a beam from one of the other eye stalks is flying right at you. What do you do?
Now can I counterspell?
You can counterspell
now. It worked this time, maybe. 10.
Nice.
So choose 2. The spell deals no damage, and the effects are superficial and temporary.
Oh, its spell does no damage, or what it's doing does no damage, and the effects are. Is that the only thing you have to that you choose, or is there any other?
Those were my 2 choices. It does no damage, choice number 1, and its effects are superficial and or temporary.
Okay, I got it. So you this is a good one actually. You fling your hands up and you do your spell, and you still can feel the beam like hitting you, right? You can still feel it like passing through your body. What it originally was a ray of enfeeblement. It was going to make you dumb as dirt. It doesn't make you dumb as dirt, but you do suddenly realize that you don't know something really something trivial that you should know, or something some bit of information, and you won't know it in the future either. I want to know what was the little.
I think I forgot my middle name. I just
perfect.
Just what it was.
You know that you used to have one, but you don't. But otherwise, your counterspell goes off fine. Okay. Ridley, you can recover. Or I keep saying Ridley. Sorry, Oliver, you can recover. It's because you have it big on your lower third. That's why I keep doing it. I think.
Gotcha. Oliver,
you can recover now. You kind of got knocked on your butt, but you're up now. You have that -1 forward. What do you do?
Well, I still got my bow. I'm pretty sure. I think I'm going to try and volley an arrow at it. Especially because it seems to be distracted by these the other characters.
Go for it. Yeah, go volley. Okay. Go ahead and mark an XP. You get your bow, you pull it up, and the beam just comes, and the bow just turns to dust in your hands, and you just have an arrow now in one hand. Mark an XP. LaRon, you're on top of this thing. What do you do? Imagine what that looks like. You're on this like pink, fleshy, like expanse, right? And there's these huge eyeball stalks like looming over you, like the heads of a hydra, right? Like just like you know, vibrating around, undulating around. Pretty grotesque. What do you do?
I'm just going to go to the nearest ice stalk and start hacking at it and try and chop off as many of these ice stalks as I can.
Nice, that's nice. Yeah, I'm into that. I think that's good. I think like with a good strong blow, you can slice one off. Give me a Defy Nature Strength.
That's a 7.
That works. Oh, did you include your weak? Because you're still weak.
Yeah, because I normally have a +1, and so
got
weak
it.
makes
Okay.
it a +0.
You're good. You're gonna get an eye stalk hacked off, no problem, and it does fall. Let me make a little note of which one we think that was. But in the doing, he like spins a bit and shakes you off, and you go flying right off. Pretty fall far for you, right?
Yeah.
Take a D10.
It's gonna hurt.
Solomon.
Got the full 10. Does my armor count?
No. Solomon, what do you do?
Okay, I think that I want to try to turn these eyes against itself.
Oh, interesting.
There's stalks that are coming out, and so I just want them pointed inward. And
nice.
I'm
into this. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
How are you doing this?
Sorry. Oh, okay. So,
I'm sure we'd all love that, but everybody but the beholder.
why didn't it just happen? I say it and it happens, right? Okay, so I think the way I imagine this is that Ponos demands that the highest form of labor is labor of the self, right? Like introspection about why one would do such a thing as hard labor for the sake of it, and turning your own heart towards labor for the sake of it.
I love this ideology.
And this introspection requires like an inward gaze.
So
and I want these eyes to turn inward and sort of freeze itself to.
I'm here for it. That's really good.
A literal inward gaze.
A literal inward gaze.
This is invocation, or what? All right, go for it.
So that's a 12.
Nice. What are the, read the move results to me, and then I'll kind of figure out what it means in the fiction.
When you call out for your deity's aid in a time of need, choose a blessing and roll plus wisdom. On a 10+, your deity will intervene on your behalf. The GM will tell you how.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you got 12 plus, right?
I'm sorry?
You got 12 plus, right?
Yes. 12, yeah.
Awesome. It works. The eyes like begin to like, you see them like kind of seize up, and then they kind of like turn inward as anticipated. And it's just like, it's just been like kind of growling and angry this whole time because the middle eye got stuck with the dagger, right? And that's still like in it. And then you just hear like that buzzing, vibrating noise, but like ×9, right? It's like really loud, right? Like magnified. And then there's just like a flash, and basically the skeletal version of this thing just lands hard on the stone. Chunk, chunk. It's just like a big round skull jaw with like finger bone like bones coming off the top. Problem solved. Ponos answers all.
Nice.
Can I retreat? Do I return to normal size?
Yes, you will. You'll eventually. Yeah, you will. But we'll say like towards the end of this, you begin to grow back. So.
Can I retrieve my dagger, or is that gone?
And now you can get the dagger. Yeah. Right.
I start sweeping up this skull and its various bones.
Well, the skull's very big, so you can't possibly do anything with that. But oh, you were muted, David. But yeah, but you can take some of the bones, the smaller bones, like the teeth, or like maybe the eye stalk bones would be.
I don't want to take them. I just want to I labor, right? So I'm just cleaning up.
Oh, you're cleaning up. Okay.
Putting something up in a crypt or.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. I love it. The immediate danger is over. What are we doing now?
I think we were trying to break down a wall before all this happened.
That was the thing you were doing. Yes, that's true.
We're also trying to find Osera's path.
Right.
Like where she got the crown from.
It's true also. So where are you guys heading? What are we doing?
I mean, I guess as I return to normal size, I'll probably plan on going back at the wall now.
Sounds good. You just smash it down?
Yeah, I mean, probably basically just get a running start and, smash into it.
I'd like to say
that since you said it's like fairly thin or kind of thin or whatever.
I would actually like to take a moment here, kind of piggybacking off our initial conversation this session, and say that maybe you and Oliver are going to go smash that wall while the other two or the other two can be doing whatever they want, but I think it'd be really important for Oliver and you to be going to the wall, right?
Yeah.
And to smash it down. And in the doing, as you approach your sword, Dumas reaches out to you like you're going, and you can hear it whispering in your ear. And it's not strong enough to speak full words or to have full conversations, but Oliver, as you're going, you see that the sword is starting to have a faint glow, and Laron stops and is considering the sword. Sorry, I'm going to just frame it pretty hard here. And then there's a suggestion put in your mind. Turn back. This was not a good idea after all. And if you follow that suggestion, you get an XP.
Yeah,
is that a suggestion for Oliver or Laron?
It's for Laron, but Oliver, you can see that Laron is something with Laron's sword is making him have a second guess here, or is paused him here. And now the question is, if Laron obeys this and says, "Nah, let's not do it," then you'll know that the sword had something to do with it, right?
So I am kind of picturing the sword with its kind of ethereal glow that you actually kind of see what it looked like in full,
Mm-hmm. Because it's broken, right? So now,
right.
Got it, yeah. Almost like an apparition, kind of like the old Smule apparition.
Right. So I'm kind of looking around, trying to figure out where I heard this from. I turned to Oliver and did you hear that? Or I heard someone suggesting we shouldn't go to that this is not a good idea.
Did you see anything again? Or did you just hear it?
I just heard it. You didn't hear it?
I didn't hear anything.
What? Strange. Not quite sure what to do. What do you think? Do you think we should continue?
Well, these pendants that I have to be connected somehow. And the only clue that I've gotten is that they glow with an intense heat the closer we get to this door. So I think the closer we get to this door, the closer we are to figuring out what's going on.
As you're saying that, as you're expressing that idea, the sword glows a little brighter, and you suddenly realize that the warmth in your pocket from the pendants has gone stone cold. And the voice says to you again, Laurent, he's wrong. There's nothing there. Turn back.
Tell me the truth. What is there? What? Who is there? Who is saying these things?
The voice says again, all will be revealed in time. Milk before meat, my son.
Isabella comes striding around the corner. Well, is the wall down yet or not?
No. Something or someone is telling me that this is not a wise idea.
I look at Oliver. Was it you? Are you crossing me, thief?
It wasn't me. He said he heard something. I got nothing to do with it.
And I'm just like, I think I just like start like insulting him. I'm just like, hurry up.
Does anyone else see the sword glowing? Or is it just?
I think yeah. Oliver did. Oliver definitely saw it. Yeah.
It's not like actively glowing right now, is it?
No, I don't think so. Maybe just when it wants to speak.
Okay.
This, I don't know. I'm not. If you want to tear down the wall, do it yourself.
Solomon, I don't know where you're at, but assuming you're a little bit behind them, or maybe like standing away just a little bit, or standing apart, even just a few paces, or maybe 10 or 20 paces away, even. You feel a hand on your shoulder suddenly, quite suddenly. What do you do?
I grasp it with my spider hand and
it's Osara. She says, I heard you were still down here, and I heard some, and so I backtracked. I came back, and I see whatever's happened here. Solomon, I don't know. Looking at your hand, very, I don't know what's happened to you, and I don't know what's going on, but I feel like this is a dangerous place. You should come right away, please. The castle is very, very near on the edge of war, and we haven't even caught up.
I'm relieved at first to see her, and I say as much. I say, we walked outside and we saw I was worried that our date would be canceled. I'm glad you're here.
She says, things are getting terrible out there. I've heard stories of dragons outside the walls. The Blue Keep is going to fall.
And what would you have us do?
And she sighs heavily and says, I would have you help protect your grandson.
Fucker.
Let's take a break.
Damn you.
So I think I might want to take my reaction to seeing your sword glowing, maybe a little bit differently, if that's okay with you guys. Awesome.
So yes, Osera has made a stunning revelation. How do you reply?
I think I start crying, and I think I say, what is the harder way?
And she turns and says, Solomon Ives, you say that as if any of us in this world have a choice, as if any of us gets to choose a path, harder or not. Don't you see? We all just live on a single strand of the great web. And that fate was determined a long time ago. It was spun even before you were born.
I know of what
now
you
you'll notice now that she's looking at your hand with a small smile in the corner of her mouth.
Yeah.
Not with her feigned trepidation.
I say, I know of what you speak. I've seen these. I've seen tales. I've seen these webs spun, but they are incomplete and they are broken. There's always a choice between the hard and the easy. I think you would have me choose the easier path. Where did you find that crown?
She says, a very astute insight. She says, perhaps you can choose. The harder path is to turn away from this place and leave this castle. Take our grandson with you.
I disagree. I think that would be the easier choice. I think it would be easy to flee, easier to live, easier to survive for the sake of surviving. I think that this is the unknown, the dangerous. That is always the hard, and the hard is always right.
Well, do as you will, but if we're ever going to catch up, if we're ever going to figure out anything about you, me, any of this, any of where we've been, any of where we're going, we can't stay down here. And she turns, and she's beginning to leave the crypts toward the entrance. She says, do you come with me?
I put my human hand on her shoulder, and I say, take me to the crypt where you found the crown, and I will do my best to protect you and our grandson.
She turns, and she has there's a glimmer of sadness in her eyes. She's like, okay. The rest of you, you're at the wall.
Isabella has a pickaxe.
Laron.
She cannot believe that you are making her do this. After every swing, she looks back and she's like, I'm just a tiny little woman.
It's a perfect time for you to give me an order.
But I did already. I was like, do this.
So, Jason, I kind of wanted to take my character's reaction to the sword glowing, maybe in a different way, if that's all right.
Sure. Go for it, yeah.
I think just the combination of all the things that have happened in the script, with the sword glowing and the pendants like icing over basically, or stopping cold. I think what Oliver would do is he's only seen one person that is had any like connection to anything in the scripts, and that's Osera.
Mm-hmm.
I think what he would do is, instead of wanting to go deeper in, he might rush angrily out towards her, and upon reaching her, like ask very angrily, like, what is this crown? Why are you here? Even going so far as to draw the sword.
Oh, the salamander?
Mm-hmm.
In doing so, there's like a lick of flame, like almost like the scabbard is like the lighter strip on a matchbox, right? It just, and that probably causes everyone to like, whoa, you know. It's otherwise just a sword, and there's like a bit of smoke coming off the blade, right? And Sarah like puts her hands up and says, I've agreed to reveal all, even though I don't want to.
I step between them.
I'm going to command Osera to get going. Let's find out what this is then, if you're so insistent.
She puts her hand on your shoulder, Solomon, and she says, she kind of whispers, because you said you step between them. She says, let me take them. I'll show them. You go back up. Meet me at the bar. Your grandson is there. Don't you want to meet him?
What does he look like?
She smiles. She says, you've already met him, as it turns out.
If this is Kelvin, so help me God.
You'll know when you meet him.
Is he a good man?
He's male. He's a man. He's very gentle of spirit.
I think I turn around and face her and I say, I think you should do what the greedy thief tells you to do.
She says, very well. She goes, Isabella, are you still like picking at the at the wall?
Yeah.
She goes very near that space, but not quite close. But it's in like one corner of the crypt if you follow her. And she takes something out of her pocket, and it's a small obsidian figurine of a spider. And she puts it down on the stone, and a glowing purple portal vroom, appears, covered in runes and sigils. She says to Oliver, after you.
There's no way I'm going through a purple portal, let alone going through first. Go ahead, and I'll beckon with the sword.
She says, She steps in, and basically like the runes begin to glow really bright, and she just like sinks down into it, and she's gone. But the portal's still there.
I step into the portal.
Who else does? Do you let him go alone?
Isabella, I will stay out here and make sure the portal stays open, but I will not go in there myself.
I don't think I have any idea what you guys are talking about.
Are you still like picking at the wall?
Yeah, I was just like picking at the wall. Like, if anyone brings this to my attention, I might do something about it.
Oh, I thought she brought that over to the wall and
No,
that's where the
it's
portal
nearby,
was.
but not. It's a different, different little.
Well, then I'm still over by
quadrant.
Isabella, just kind of watching
Okay.
her.
All right. So really, it's just down to Oliver. Oliver, do you go to the portal?
I think
Maybe-
against my better judgment, I might go into it. Just seeing
Or maybe
that
I tell-
Solomon has.
Maybe I tell Oliver to tell the others before he jumps in.
That's a great idea. I
Well,
got
in that case, Solomon, you do have this sort of sinking sensation as you step onto the portal, and your vision like goes like just the bright purple light like consumes your vision, right? And when it clears, you find yourself on a bridge that appears to be made of inky black, oily black stone. And it's a bridge that has it's not masoned. It looks like it's been carved out of whatever this place is made of. But it appears to be some sort of cavern deep underground, because there are all around, there are braziers hanging from the walls, very high up in some cases. Braziers that are glowing green flame. And so there's just strange green flame that kind of like illuminates this vast labyrinthine cavernous space. And there's a bridge, a narrow footbridge that goes over a big, deep ravine. But you can't quite see to the other side of the bridge. It just goes off into darkness. And Osera is there. And she says, "Are you sure you want to go further, Solomon?"
I'll follow you this time.
I was afraid you would say that. And she heads out along it. Meanwhile, Oliver, you've told your companions about this purple portal. What do you do?
I'm going to tell them to, if we take too long, come after us, because we don't know what's on the other side of this portal. And then I'll step through the portal as well.
Do the two of you stay, or do you go after them?
Portal doesn't sound like a fun time to me.
You haven't seen this portal. It's purple.
I think normally I would go, but Oliver's like warning that like if we don't come out, then we're gonna need backup. Like I think kind of resonates with me, and I'm like, yeah, maybe me and Laurent should stay back and then wait to see.
Yeah.
Oliver, you're in the same space. This vast, like, labyrinth space. Or not labyrinth, but like sort of huge cave network space, right? And you're standing on a similar set of glowing purple runes. So it's two-way, at least, right? Where do you go? What do you do?
Are Solomon and Osera out of sight at this point?
Yeah.
Would a torch fall under adventuring gear? Is
Yeah.
that something that I could light?
Do
I
that.
think I'd like to light a torch.
Sure.
Can I also... Sorry, go ahead, Ribbit.
I was just going to say, follow the direction that I came out of the portal down
Right.
this bridge.
Absolutely. You may. As you progress forward, Oliver, what are you doing? Are you paying attention for any particular kinds of things? Check for traps, anything like that?
Well, if I'm just on this bridge, I probably don't have anything that I can check, like trap-wise. Maybe I'm studying the darkness to see if anything reflects this torchlight. But that's about it.
I think.
Sorry.
I think also knowing that, or expecting, rightly or not, that Oliver is going to follow me back, but knowing that he's not here once I move away with Osera, I think I try to pull some spider web from my spider.
Nice.
And leave a little trail, like leave little markings of spider web.
I'm into that. Yeah, I'm into that. So Oliver, just to be clear, you said you were. What would you do? You were just kind of looking around the cave, or were you, or specifically looking for traps?
Not specifically looking for traps per se, but just looking for anything that might catch my eye in the darkness.
You can do discern realities if you
want. So that is a 10.
Nice. Ask a question.
What should I be on the lookout for?
You hear distinct footfalls behind you. But if you turn, you don't see anything. I'm going to cut away for a second to Isabella and Laurent. Isabella, you've managed to smash enough of the wall away.
I think I've had it with this pickaxe. It's slow, but I have this earth elemental hammer that could probably help.
You could get it open.
Right.
It's a done deal. Enough time with anything, and you can make it. You can wedge your way through.
I'm just like leaning up against the wall, watching her, and it's shaking my head. Like, I don't know about this.
My pale skin and my pale hair are all dirty now, and I'm just like shaking my head. I can't believe made me do this. And I'm shuffling through the little entrance I made.
It opens up into a like a small, like little portico, I guess, little vestibule, and it has some stairs, some roughly hewn stone stairs that are spiraling down deeper into the earth. What do you do?
That's when I wish I had a thief.
Feels like a really great time to split the party. Just want to throw that out there.
I'm cautious because somebody went through a lot of trouble to barricade this. And so I squeeze back out and I look up at the big man, Laurent, say, would you mind leading the way at least? There could be something dangerous down there.
And grumble and begrudgingly start heading that way. Like, I don't think this is a good idea, but
beats going through purple portals, I bet.
I would suspect so. Portals are not my cup of tea. And I'm going to pull out my torch. So
nice. I'm going to cut back to Solomon. You're walking along this bridge. It's quite long, actually. And the green light casts just enough light to where you can see the very basic outline shimmer of this bridge, this black stone bridge. Otherwise, you can't see much at all, right? It's just like darkness all around, right? The silence of the place is occasionally like punctuated by the sounds of things that seem to be much, much deeper than you are at. roars, growling, the shifting of stone, that kind of thing. A whole sort of terrible ecosystem in the inky blackness below, far below. But you continue forward. Osara says, your friends told me you were looking for the Keeper Morvo.
That is one of our tasks, yes.
Morvo has been dead for a very long time.
The people I work for will be happy to know that. And I'll get some coin.
Job done.
She says, he was a fool, really. He didn't understand the power of what was in his possession.
And what was that?
The bone crown of old King Smule, of course.
Here I thought you were just a collector of poultices and herbs.
Yes, yes.
What is this place that you've taken me to?
She says, well, you're not going to like it. That much I know for sure. She just continues on. What are you doing in the meantime? Like anything besides besides your silk thing that you're doing, which
I think I'm just I think I'm just muttering, like, as I do, right? Like muttering to Ponos, like, you know, for strength through this trying time. I'm also trying to okay. I'll do it later. Never mind.
yeah, no worries. Oliver, what's your next question?
Let's see. I can't remember what I got on that roll. Was it a 10?
It was a 10, yeah.
What happened here recently?
As you are... you look back, right? Because you hear the footfalls. And you'll see that, like, the glowing circle is like it was brighter and like getting dimmer again to be just the ruins again, suggesting that someone came into this place, like using that portal right behind you. So whoever this person is, they came from not here, and now they're here with you.
Okay. What here's not what it appears to be.
And indeed, you can feel it. You can feel very gentle, quiet breath on your nose. Whoever it is, they're standing right in front of you. They're perfectly invisible. What do you do?
Well, I've got my torch in hand. I think, feeling this breath on my face, I'm going to try and swipe at whatever's in front of me with this torch, because I can't see it, and maybe it just moved back. Maybe it just jumped out of the light. I think swatting at it with the torch makes sense to me.
To defy danger with intelligence. You get +1 for following up.
Do I still have the -1?
No, that was just forward. So.
Okay.
That was just 1.
So 7.
Okay. It works. You swing the torch, and you hear like a boot fall, right? Like as they jump back, and then they just appear. It's a drow warrior wearing black silks and scale mail armor, the cloak, white hair, pointy ears, ebon skin. And he smiles and says, "What are you doing here?"
I'll reply that I followed a witch and a priest through a portal. And I haven't caught up to them yet, but they're nearby.
You're not going to catch up with them, I fear. Sorry to say. And he kind of just spreads out his fingers, like in front of you, as almost like he wants to offer you something, right? He's stretching them out. And then his fingers just begin to crackle with this purple lightning. What do you do?
Let's see. I guess I'm not 100% sure. Have I sheathed this sword? I think I probably would have before going into this portal. I want to unsheath it again and see if it crackles with flame. Try and maybe have the element of surprise.
The way the sword works is you basically, when you do your strike, your first strike out of the scabbard, it causes a lick of flame to jump out, right?
Okay.
So what do you want to do? Because you guys are both kind of on the bridge at this point, right? What do you want to try to accomplish here? Do you want to try to knock him off the edge, or what do you think?
What kind of range am I at?
Close. Near. We'll say near, which is just out of arm's reach.
Yeah, I'm gonna go because I've not got great strength, so I don't really want to hack and slash. I think I'm gonna go for the tackle push kind of thing.
Nice. Give me a defy. This is dangerous. Give me a defy danger con, actually, because you're kind of using your bulk more than your strength, I think.
All right, that is a 7.
Hold that thought. So you managed to push your way through the gap, Laurent, and you guys are going down the steps. You got a torch lit.
Got my sword out too.
Classic dungeon situation, right? A fighter and a wizard going down some dungeon steps with a torch lit. What do you do as you're going down?
I'm looking for anything that's dangerous or something that might, something unusual. I'm just kind of paying attention to my surroundings.
Discern realities. You can take aid from Isabella if it makes sense.
Sweet. And let's see. Yeah, so it's a 7 right now.
One question.
All right. What here is not what it appears to be.
You're stepping down, and honestly, nothing. The stairs are safe. Everything seems cool. Goes down quite a bit, though. Pretty deep into the earth. Maybe 50, 60 feet. And maybe more. But it goes down into essentially another little sort of vestibule, but it's really more of just a bit of cave, right? And then that leads to a mouth doorway that looks out into some space.
Because the further we go down, Gizmilla might be overhearing me, but I'm kind of grumbling, kind of quietly saying, like, to whatever I had heard earlier, speak to me. Tell me what is down here.
To Dumas, you're speaking to your sword.
I don't necessarily know that it's my sword.
You can do the heirloom move. I'll even give you the +1 since you're kind of following up on what you just did.
Sweet. Which that will give me a total of 11.
Nice. Read the move off, and I'm going to come back to it, but just read what it does.
Okay, let me. It says, so when you consult the spirits that reside within your signature weapon, they will give you insight relating to your current situation and might ask some questions in return. On a 10+, the GM will give you good detail.
Awesome. Hold that thought. Solomon, you're making your way across this long bridge. And she says, she kind of stops at a certain point and turns back to you. Says, I know you must have so many questions.
More than you can imagine.
Smule is... Smule is nothing in the grand scheme of things. He will re-enter the world. He will call his forces. There will be wars. Terrible things will happen. This sort of thing happens in history all the time. But it's an important strand on the web, on the grand web of the one I serve.
And whom do you serve now? Who did you betray Ponos for?
The saints, the gods. Oh, Solomon. They are false. Surely you know this. Surely you've deduced it.
I raise my hand. The good one.
She backs up. She says, milk before meat. We are on our way to the fabulous city of the deep elves. We are very, very far underground right now.
And what is this? What is this city of which you speak?
It is a city that is dedicated to the return of the eight-legged she. They work constantly to help her spin her grand web. I'm something of an emissary.
How did you come to be this emissary?
Because I discovered that the gods are false, she says. She turns and continues marching down the bridge.
I grab her arm with my spider hand. And so if I remember correctly from yesterday, these corpse reaver spiders burrow into bodies.
Flesh, they do, yeah.
I wanted to bite her.
Okay. For what purpose?
I think of it as some form of bond between us, right? Like if this is, I'm trying to remember what I know versus what the character knows. So if there's some kind of communication happening between myself and the spider, that perhaps there is, and the the Spider Hand and Malgoliant, that perhaps this will connect me to her in some way. And the goal here is to get more information. I mean, to see if she's telling the truth, or to create
I like that. Yeah, it's good.
Create some sort of like to force the bond in a way that she's being coy, right?
I love it. The bite will happen. Perfectly fine. Give me a defy danger with Constitution.
That is a 6.
Mark
I suppose that a preparation doesn't work here.
No, you can absolutely do a preparation. You have to just explain. You have to just give me a flashback how you may have prepared for such a situation. What's happening here is basically you're going to be like hit with like a huge amount of like revelation, and your mind and your body may not be able to cope with it. So.
Okay. Yeah. I'll use the preparation, and I think the preparation has been like every time I've been touching people with this spider hand, or like reaching out with this spider hand, trying to learn about how I can control it in some way, shape, or form. So when I like reached out to pick up Laron earlier, trying to sense, like, do I have some type of does this hand now have like super spider like feely, like, can it feel the reverberations of a tiny person? Can it feel skin? Can it latch onto skin? Is it more hand than spider, or more spider than hand almost?
Okay, I'm into it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm into this. Bump you up to a 7. I'll tell you the result in a minute, fictionally. Oliver Kane. You just go and you push him off. He goes flying. As he goes flying down to the inky blackness, to an arc of like purple lightning flies up out of the darkness, right? And like hits you. Except it doesn't like have any force. When the lightning hits you, your entire body just becomes like a pain nerve sensor, right? Like you just like shriek out in pain as your entire body like lights up, as if like you're being dragged by 1,000 razors, right? Like it's really, really terrible over your body. And I need a defy danger Constitution. The stakes here are, do you go tumbling over the edge because of the pain?
Awesome. Oh, 6.
I think you do. Mark an XP, and you'll be visiting the Black Gate when we get back. Or spend a preparation. Good point. As Aaron notes in the thing. You're going to the Black Gate otherwise. So.
I don't know how I could have prepared to be struck by lightning.
Pain lightning, right?
Maybe in my experience with poisons, I could have trained my body to handle pain.
I think that's great. Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah. That bumps you up to a 7. Then you don't go tumbling off. You go tumbling off, but you manage to grab hold. So you are now like holding on to the edge. I assume you cry out to Solomon, right? Like that would make sense, I would think. Mm-hmm. Back down at the space that you're in, right, Laron? You wanted to know what's about to happen or what's going on, right?
Just basically why this spirit or whatever I was hearing didn't want me going down there.
It whispers to you. It says, "My name is Dumas. I was a servant of the kings of old. And this king of old is going to become part of the new. How much clarity do I have to give you on your result?
Since it was a 10 plus, it says, oh, come on, load. 10 plus, GM will give you good detail.
Since the way was prepared thousands of years ago. A pact signed in blood. And those sworn to this king of old are now answering the call. Lady stout of heart is nothing. A pebble on the water, a ripple, and then gone. But the tyranny of old King Smule is like an entire lake, still, deep, endless, and always bound to return after a hard rain. Isabella, what are you doing during all this?
Is he doing anything, or is the sword glowing? Or
yeah, what does this look like, Laurent? Good question. What does Isabella see?
Yeah, so I think kind of the main thing is like, she might have overheard what I was saying, and I think kind of whenever Dumas starts, speaking to me, like the sword itself, gets that ethereal glow, and it's, like I said, you see the full sword how it once was, and like if she was in front of me, she would be able to see like, kind of how that picture is, where half the face is kind of got that ethereal glow and looking like Dumas.
Yeah, I think I'll ask you, like, we can continue walking, but I would be like asking you and kind of wary of what's happening. Like, what did you just do?
I do not know. Some spirit seems to be following me or attached. It does not want us to go down here.
Well, I think it seems apparent to me that it's attached around your waist in a scabbard.
Oh, it would be on my back, but
or on your back, wherever it is. Attached over your shoulder.
The sword that I carry, I cannot get rid of it, and I do not know why. Perhaps the spirit is bound to it. He claims his name is Dumas.
I know a thing or two about Old King Smule. Do I know anything about Dumas?
It does.
Let's find out. 8. Something interesting.
Dumas was the equivalent of a great sorcerer or mage during the days of old. And when the old kings of the world and the old queens, when their time was nearing an end, they called upon Dumas to create an on-ramp back for them. And many of them have been biding their time, but old King Smule's time is now.
Well, it seems more than coincidence that that sword would be going down into the earth. And I think I see why it does not want us to go down here. It fears we will undo the work that was once done by the one Dumas who speaks to you.
What work do you speak of?
Something the ancients would get up to. They're always looking for ways back.
Ways to return from death, I assume, is what you mean.
Yes. And you see my eyes are light with intense interest and desire.
Let us push forward. I do not relish seeing old kings come back. The stories I've heard, the world is a better place now.
Out of character, I don't know. Now that Isabella knows what's going on, I'm not sure if she's going to try and stop it or just study it.
That's an interesting outcome.
And I mean, it's very well that Dumas might stop me from doing anything. So
yeah, we'll see. We'll kind of see how things are playing out. But
yeah,
in the more extended universe, she has been looking for a way to bring someone back from the dead. So this is a prime opportunity.
this is true.
I'm going to cut back to Solomon. Solomon, what was your role in that convo?
It was the 6, and then I spent a preparation for the 7.
Right, yeah. This urge that came over you that caused you to do this, to sink your hand fangs into Osera. Osera cries out, and your vision is completely flooded. It's almost like images like on a reel or something, right? Like just like spinning in front of you, and you're taking in all this information, and you're seeing things, right? You're seeing a great field of battle with saints and gods arrayed on one side. You recognize the gods because they look like perfect depictions of how their iconography look, right? You recognize the saints because of their markings and their vestments, and there are thousands of them, and they're all arrayed across a great field, and you can't see what they're facing, but you see them like rushing in toward battle, and you don't know what they're fighting, but you can see they're losing. They're losing hard. And then you see them being marched off. The ones that lived are being marched off to somewhere in chains. But one of them, a giant brown spider, she turns back and she makes a deal. And she is let go. And then you get the sense, you see basically a group of churchmen in their white robes in a committee of some sort conferring. And as the camera, so to speak, zooms in on them, you realize many of them like take off these white masks that they wear, and you realize that their faces are terrible, horrible, tentacular, monstrous, hideous. An indication that the church is false. And by the time you snap out of it, Osera is standing in front of you, kneeling in front of you, her body completely desiccated. Thin, gray skin pulled tight over bone. No cartilage, just a husk. And she crumbles at your feet. What do you do?
I kneel in front of her body. I unwrap my keffiyeh, that's my sort of head wrap, and I drape it over her body. I'm assuming she's dead. Is that?
She's very dead. Yeah.
Okay. And I say, Ponos grants rest for those who have toiled long, even those who have toiled long in the service of others.
And that's when you hear Oliver's cry behind you. What do you do?
I turn my back.
Sounds good. Let's cut back down to the good to you just in a minute, Oliver. Let's cut back down to the whatever is down below in the castle. We've had this conversation. You've shared some information about the situation. You know something about this Dumas character. What do you do?
I mean, I think we're proceeding forward. Like, we're looking for the source of all this down here.
As you get through that threshold of the little vestibule. Oh, sorry, say that again.
I was saying probably looking for this beacon, although I don't think we in character know about the beacon.
Right.
As you go through the little threshold of this little cave vestibule, and you start to hear a crunch underneath your boots. And if you wave your torch around, you'll see that you're actually standing on like piles of animal bones. Cows, pigs, goats, rib cages, big, huge femurs. And when I say piles, I mean like hills of it, like thick, like maybe 10 animals deep, right? Just bones. Traversing it's very difficult. Maybe not for you, Isabel, because you've established that you have kind of a light, almost like floating walk, right? But pretty hard going for you, Laurent. But we see you like kind of like you even like sink into the bones a little bit. You're like,
kind of crunching through it.
Crunching through it, go through it. And at the very end of this space, which is quite big, you see a massive sarcophagus on a large pillar rising up out of the bones.
Like bigger than a man would be inside of it?
No. I mean, a man, it could be the size of a man. It's just very big.
Okay, gotcha.
Not like a giant big, but yeah.
What do you think the odds are that's the old king?
High odds it's anyone else. Shall we have a look?
I suppose there's nothing else we can do. Kind of walk over and just, bring the torch till I get good detail of it.
Do you still have Bone Crown in your possession?
Yeah.
Thought you might. You're crunching through. We'll get to that in a minute. Solomon, you rush back to see Oliver barely clinging to the bridge, like he got knocked over the side, and he's barely clinging on. What do you do?
So do I know if the portal is still open?
Yeah, you'll probably see that faint purple glow in the distance. Yeah.
In which case, I just I go down and I just sort of just hold out my arms because I don't have the strength to like pull them up, but like,
okay,
sort of like just climb up my body.
As described, then it's your role, Oliver, with aid from Solomon as needed. So give me a strength.
That's a 9.
Okay. Do you want to do the 8 as well, Solomon, or just stick with the 9? He'll live. He's not going off the side, but
Yeah, no. I'm an old man. Getting down.
Sounds
It's gonna
good.
take me a half hour to get back up on my legs. So,
Oliver, you lose something. In the it just slips off the salamander blade, just goes tumbling into the inky blackness. But you climb up and you're good. Let's take our break. Just take 2 or 3 minutes.
Well, things are starting to get intense.
Yeah, I felt like I was kind of slow the last session, but this one has gone quite a bit better, I think. This has been a great long con.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry for splitting the party.
They're certainly exploring a lot of interesting themes and things.
Yeah. I don't know how we're going to wrap all this up in an hour.
No. Hey, at least Morvo's already dead. I don't have to worry about that.
It's true. Mission done. Mission accomplished. We can just jet, but it's a matter of getting out of this place too, I guess, or just waiting it out, I guess, in the event that it's a siege where the defenders succeed.
I mean, I suppose if you want, man, you could just turn against the castle and help old King Smule.
Oh, I don't know about that.
I mean, all we have to do is go open the gates for him. Then maybe he'll help you out.
Maybe. As long as the church doesn't find out.
What will they care?
They'll never know. They'll never
They're
know.
only after the keepers, and if everyone else is dead, who's going to tell them? We survived, barely.
So, David, who is Logan?
Logan was a mage who I played for the first several We Hunt the Keeper campaigns. And he was kind of collecting keys. But to Isabella, like, they were lovers. They are both mages of the same order. So that's when they met. Like, they had both saved each other's lives on several occasions. And like, the happiest time in Logan's life was the time that he was living in Frostdale with Isabella. And like, he only barely got like roped into more keeper missions, but like always intended to return. And then when he didn't, Isabella sought out what happened to him and is trying to, when she found out he died, she's been doing everything she can to try and bring him back.
That's awesome.
It's been an interesting story arc.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah. So there's this pillar platform, really, rising up out of the bones, rising up maybe like 5 or 6 feet from the top of the mound of bones, upon which is a great sarcophagus. You can get to the lip of the pillar and raise yourself up to the edge on the platform fairly easily. And if we can just say you did that, if that's okay. And now what?
I'm kind of moving the torch over it, seeing if there's any distinct features, any inscriptions, anything of that sort.
Yeah, it's positively covered in like runes of an arcane nature. It's probably an Isabella job.
Yeah, I was going to ask Isabella if she recognized them.
Yeah, I will take a moment to try and discern what this network of runes is all about.
Yeah, I think it's probably going to be probably spout lore thing, really, I guess.
Okay.
Want to use a book?
I'm out of books. I used my last one.
Oh.
It's all right. I've still got 14.
Oh wow!
So that is.
Did you roll boxcars or 11?
Yeah, I wrote 11. So that's still that's the extra question as well.
Right. Yeah. Interesting thing. The runes are a spell. Useful thing. Spell's complete. Little known secret. This is a spell that causes this sarcophagus to basically be a device that recreates life.
Oh, I'm into that. And by complete, you mean it's all there, or by complete, you mean its work is finished?
Its work is finished. It's doing its thing.
Okay. Well, though your sword might not like it.
How do you know all that instantly?
How do I know? I think I can read it.
Okay. So it's just a simple like interpretation thing.
Yeah, I mean, simple in the sense that ancient magic runes that require impossibly complex levels of like declension and all this can be simple. It took years of studying to get your runology down.
Right.
And it was like, it was like dusting off that part of my brain to read this again because I haven't read such a complete pattern of runes in such a long time.
Incredibly ancient too. This is like old magic.
Yeah. People would kill for this.
Yeah.
Probably have.
Very likely. But I am like letting Lauren know, like, you probably want to have your sword ready.
Yeah, I'll definitely have it out.
And your sword might not be happy about it. Do you think you can handle that?
I'll do what I can. I mean, so far all I've gotten was I've heard this Dumas speak to me.
And
Hopefully he does not have more influence.
And as best you can, avoid damaging this sarcophagus.
I'll see. I'll keep that in mind. And is there anything you think we need to be on the lookout for?
Well, there's something in the box that is not dead anymore.
I was worried you might say that.
And I think that I'm going to try and like move the lid while he's like ready with his sword.
Looks pretty heavy. Give me well, I'm cool with this. So you're just trying to move the lid off. That's great. It's just going to take you a second. It cracks open a little bit. You probably have to take it like several heaves, right? Do you peek inside, Laurent?
I'm kind of waiting for a signal from Isabella.
Like when I've got enough of it out of the way, I'll give you a nod.
I'm not the fondest of the undead, so I'll take a look.
As you move closer to the gap in the sarcophagus, you hear a voice, a weak, raspy voice saying, "The beacon is lit, the beacon is lit, the beacon is lit, the beacon is lit," and like a chattering of teeth.
Does this sound like the voice from old Smule's?
Vaguely, it's kind of hard to tell.
Okay. I'm going to take a step back and kind of gesture for Isabella as well. I don't like the sound of this. What is this beacon?
I'm just going to peek in.
You see, from what you can see, you see an arm. Except it's like a half-formed arm. There's like a whatever this bone is.
Tibia, fibula.
Tibia, I think. Yeah, I'm not sure. But you see that bone, like part of it is like you can see like very, very like fine little strands, like gradually like assembling the bone, right? And you see a half-formed hand partially covered in flesh. The upper part of the arm is like muscle that's like carefully repairing itself. And the whole arm appears to be attached to some sort of like sticky pink tendrils that connect to the interior of the sarcophagus. And again, just over and over again, the beacon is lit, the beacon is lit.
So you're saying that like these pink tendrils are like stuck to the walls of the sarcophagus?
Yeah, it's almost like it's part of the sarcophagus, like sticking into this arm that's being reformed.
Hmm. I know what I would do, but what do you think? How are you reacting to all this? As I like kind of like wave you forward, Lauren.
I mean, probably, I look into it and it's like, what is this? Some sort of magical womb?
Something like that.
I'm gonna cut away. Solomon, Oliver, it sounds like you guys are heading for the Purple Gate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It all happens in reverse, but as described previously, you feel yourself rising up. You're rising up out of this purple light into onto the battlefield. You see arrays of beastmen marching forward in front of you. They're already like crossing halfway across the field. You have pulled up behind them, basically. And you see arrows starting to fly from the parapets and crenulations of the keep down onto the beastmen. You might even like hear or see like Lady Stout of Heart and her men like bellowing orders and things, right? But the beastmen are on the march, and overhead, a shadow passes overhead, and you see this black dragon, which like strikes you with utter terror, and it just unleashes a huge, thick, glowing green stream of acid that just like clears out a line of soldiers up on the wall. You just hear them scream, and you just smell this like sulfuric smell in the air, and then it like wings back up high into the sky, ready for another dive. What do the two of you do?
You want to handle that first, Ridley?
Yeah. Well, I never asked for this. You said that I'm behind.
Yeah. It's like the portal was there before, but now that the beastmen have marched off, like it's just still there, and you're just peering right there now. So, but you can see them like marching, ready to storm the walls. You're safe presently. There's no one around. But...
Well, so I think my two options here are to either go back through the portal, if that's still possible, or leave. I don't fancy charging up behind this large army of beastmen, nor do I particularly feel like trying to take on a dragon, a black dragon, armed only with a dagger and a short sword.
These are all very logical thoughts, very rational.
Yeah. I think I want to see how Solomon is feeling. If he wants to go back, I might feel that emotional pull to save the people that we were with. But otherwise, I'm gonna, I think, peace out.
Well, Solomon, what are you thinking? What do you do?
Is it possible that Solomon has, in his inadvertent murder of his love and the acquisition of knowledge that came from that connection, that he himself can construct these runes and direct a portal?
I think you might. Yeah, maybe. I'm into that. You want to try to like manipulate the portal in some way?
Yeah, I mean, I think like in conversation with Oliver at this point, it's like, this is not our fight right now, but we do owe something to our comrades still in the catacombs, and maybe that's where we need to be right now, and so. Yeah, maybe them manipulating the portal in some way to get us back there.
Yeah, I'm into it. I mean, I think maybe like if you pass your hands over the like glowing marks on the ground, you can see that like you actually can kind of manipulate them a little bit, sort of Minority Report style, right? So, yeah. But it would be just kind of a wild guess, maybe even going from memory of like what the other one looked like, right? Could be something as simple as that. But if you did like gain some of Osera's memory, yeah, maybe it's all kind of swirling around in your head right now. Who knows?
Yeah.
Osera, Malgoliant, all that. Oof, I think this is going to be intelligence. Roll intelligence.
That is a 6 plus 2, 8.
Okay. You're going to be able to successfully rearrange the marks so that it looks like the one that's deep in the catacombs. That's totally cool. And I think you even feel like, I think I've got it, right? You're having this moment, right? Of like, yeah, I got it, right? Oliver, while that's happening, I think maybe you're very close to figuring it out. Let's say you're it's all coming back to you. It's flowing back to you. You're realizing what you have to get done. It's all good. Oliver, you're maybe like tensely watching this, looking at Solomon, looking at the beastmen. You see the big three fire giants, they're like able to like scale there. You see one of them scaling the wall and like the men trying to shoot it down. You see the beastmen, they're terrible, braying and snorting and roaring. All that stuff's going on. Arrows are flying. And Oliver, you see it making a circle back toward where you're at. It spotted you. You see that black dragon, massive, so big that both of you could ride its back easily. And you just see it like glide into your vision. Very classic, very Game of Thrones, right? The dragon like gliding down like right at you while the runes are being put back into place. You're gonna have to buy. You're gonna be successful, Solomon, but you're gonna have to buy him just a minute, Oliver. You got to buy him some time. What do you do?
Is there anything near me in terms of like landscape features that I could like dart towards and maybe jump behind, like a hill?
Yeah, sure. We'll say there's maybe it's got like a ravine or something. Yeah.
Okay. As long as it's something that I could get back out of, I think that's what I do.
Awesome.
Try and direct the dragon's attention.
I like that. Give me a defy danger dexterity to like basically dart out and like we'll say that it like goes after you and then like to just quickly get there and get under the ravine.
10.
10. Nice. Describe the whole thing. What does it look like?
Okay, so there's this massive dragon flying towards us. I know that if I don't do anything, we're both going to die. So I, using my quick motion, kind of dart out from behind this portal towards a nearby like kind of ravine area, and I like in a sliding motion just slide past the dragon's view, hopefully intriguing it enough to follow me and forget about the portal.
You slide underneath and you like smell that sulfuric smell, and you just see like from the overhang of the ravine, you just see like splatters of like glowing green acid and smoke as it like splatters all over. It doesn't hit you, it's safe, but he definitely tried to get you. The dragon wings around. Solomon, you look over your shoulder. Everything's in place. Who knows where Oliver is? And you see the dragon wheeling around in the sky. What do you do?
All right, so I think the easy thing to do is to call Oliver and like get through this portal. But the hard thing is always the right thing.
So what does that mean?
So I think I want to flip a rune. Like if I think I know what I'm doing.
We'll see.
I think I know enough that if I changed a rune, it changes the location.
Okay.
And I essentially want to change the portals, like whatever the other side of this portal is, and lure the dragon to come at me, but then to fly through the portal. Like jump behind the portal.
Wait, so you want the dragon to go into the portal and go wherever you send it, basically.
Yeah.
That's really interesting.
I don't know that's possible. Talking out loud.
I think it's a wild idea, and I think I will let you attempt it. I think it's going to be like a random thing, though. I think like you're just going to roll 2 dice and see where the chips fall.
I'm also perfectly fine calling Oliver over and like
the choice is yours. You tell me what you want to do.
All right, Oliver. Let's go smash a crown.
Awesome. I'll get out of the ravine and make fleet of foot.
I just need you to dodge the dragon one more time. So
awesome.
Give me another defy nature dexterity.
8.
Your timing is just a little bit off. One of you gets through the portal before the dragon unleashes its acid breath, and one of you doesn't. The other one's still going to get through the portal, but not before taking a acid bath. Your choice, Oliver.
So I think it makes sense to be me because I was the one running across this open area. Plus, I've got an armor. I mean, I guess, acid, maybe that doesn't help too much, but yeah, probably me.
Okay. Hold that thought. Back down in the bone crypt thing. So Isabella, what are you thinking right now? What's happening with this sarcophagus?
I think that it's not important, that this thing in there is not important. It may think it's important, but it is not. The sarcophagus is important. So, and it's a stone sarcophagus. So it could stand it if I dump a little oil in there and burn it out so that I can use the sarcophagus for my own purposes, assuming I can figure out a way to transport it.
Right. Yeah, I'm into that. You can do that. Just do it. It's fine.
What do you think of this, Lauren, when I reach into my pack and I start to pull out oil and just douse the thing?
I'm not particularly fond of things coming back to life, so I am ready to just drop my torch in there with it.
And I gesture to you.
I'm just going to drop the torch in there.
And you're burning alive whatever's in there. you can hear it even like kind of the crackle of the fire. You can hear the beacon is lit, and then it just eventually goes quiet. You're
Might be prudent to find this beacon, whatever it is.
I think it might have been the beacon, but
Well, then we just lit the damn thing.
no. It's metaphors. Don't worry about it.
You hear a ghostly laughter coming from the entrance to this space where you came from. At this point, that's about a good 400 paces away. And you see, glowing in the darkness, the apparition of old King Smule standing there, glowing blue.
When I turn around and see it, I just, Isabella, please tell me you see Smule standing in front of us.
You both do.
And he's just laughing.
He says, the beacon is lit. And then now he's about 200 paces away, standing on the bones. There's nothing you can do now. The beacon is lit.
I'm just going to try and rush forward at him and try and slash at him. Though earlier he kind of was, very incorporeal. So
you're also stumbling around on bones and stuff.
Yeah,
right? Like you don't exactly have like the best leverage here. Awesome. Yeah, you tumble down. You're going for it. You will just pass right through him, and you'll just kind of tumble and roll on the bones. And Isabella, the apparition kind of like raises up its hands, right, and spreads out its fingers, and kind of opens its arms. It's doing magic, and you hear rattling like a rainmaker, but very, very loud, rattling of bones all around you. Isabella, what do you do?
I could counter spell here, and that might be the right thing to do, but also it might be the right thing just to try and cast a spell on it and knock it out before it can pull off whatever it's doing, because it seems like it's doing bigger magic than I would be doing.
You can still counterspell it. I mean, counterspell is still an option.
Raise the bones, Isabella.
Yeah, I guess we'll start with a counterspell then, and we'll work to a cast a spell if we need to.
Roll the dice. Let's just see how the counterspell goes.
8.
8. What happens on an 8?
On an 8, choose 1. The spell's effects are superficial and temporary.
Okay, fair enough. We'll get to that in a minute. I gotta look up dragon stats.
That's not a good look.
Oliver, the thing just like, just as Solomon kind of like goes down into the purple thing, you stand on the portal and the light begins to like come up, over you, and you see the dragon, and it just unleashes this thick pillar of acid out of its mouth, like a stream, and it just sprays and like splashes all over you for best of 2d12 plus 5. So you roll 2d12, take the higher, and add 5. This can't actually. Oh, it could kill you if you roll 9.
Oh,
right?
There's a 9 and a 1.
And 9 was the exact thing you needed to roll to hit you to 0.
Yep.
just because he has 4 piercings, so just like splatter. We'll see how you ended up on the other side here in a minute. Solomon, once you step out of the portal, right? What do? You're kind of where Osira originally took you from.
I think I step aside and start moving briskly toward
the wall.
But looking back to make sure that Oliver's behind me.
Who knows? Big shrug. Let's go back down to the bone pile. Isabella. The spell's effects are superficial and temporary. In this sense, superficial is going to be pretty relative. Rising up out of the pile of bones behind you is just a sort of medium-sized bone golem clambering up to the pedestal with you. The rest of the bones, they just go quiet. The rest of the many thousands of bones. But he did manage to get one bone golem off, and this thing is stumbling towards you. It's just a mishmash of various animal bones in different sizes, just fused into the vague humanoid shape, right? With like maybe 2 like sharpened bits where the arms are, and it's just like lumbering towards you, ready to strike. What do you do?
You asking me or
it's you.
It's me.
It's you.
Oh man. I take out this earth hammer, this earth elemental hammer.
Oh, nice.
And I throw it down before the golem, and I try and summon my own.
This is on the platform in the sarcophagus. You know that, right?
I didn't throw it on the platform. I threw it off the platform.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, okay.
Is it on the platform?
It's on the platform with you. Yeah.
Oh, it climbed up on the platform already. How big is this platform?
Yeah. I don't know, like maybe just like enough walking space around the thing.
Okay, so how big is the golem?
I don't know. Maybe it's like man-sized, I guess. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I got you now. I thought it was a lot bigger.
Oh, no.
Okay. If that's the case, then
you could throw it into the bones, right? And see how that goes.
Yeah. I don't know if that would do anything, though. It's an earth elemental hammer.
Yeah. You actually also need a spike just as a point of order.
No.
Yeah. So
that might be a thing. Yeah, then I think I'll just try and do like a backflip off of this altar to draw it away because I don't want it messing with the sarcophagus.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Yeah, do a divide injured dexterity to escape.
Okay. 8.
Yeah, if it works, I think you just maybe land a little hard, maybe not quite in your little floating stance as you'd hoped, and you just take like a D4 damage.
Okay.
Oliver Kane. You are at the Black Gate of Death. The Black Gate of Death looks different for everyone. It somehow, in some way, or for some reason, it responds to you personally, right? What do you think the Black Gate of Death looks like for Oliver Kane?
The Black Gate of Death looks like the entrance to the home he grew up in before he got sucked into this life of poverty and crime. So just like the front facade, maybe nothing around it, just like this door is open.
Like an old West town, right? Like just a fake, or like just a, or a movie set, Old West town. Good. When death comes out to greet you, what does death look like when they step out from the front door?
Death looks like Oliver's father, who was killed when Oliver was coming of age.
Mm.
And he's got a blank expression. It feels like this is an image. It doesn't feel sincere. There's no warmth in it.
Mm. Roll 2d6.
9.
9. An offer is made. I need to think about the offer, though. We'll come back to the offer. Solomon, you don't know what's going on. With you look back and you just like, you can only imagine that he didn't make it, right? It's like the only thing you can think of, right? So what do you do?
I leave. What do I do? I leave a bandage, just a single bandage, which is more a symbol of. It's not. It's meant to be productive in some way, shape, or form. If he does survive, like bandage yourself up and get back in the fight. But it's more just symbolic. Like there's work to do. Wrap yourself up. Keep like, don't give up. Like keep doing the labor that Ponus has put you here to do. And then I run to help those that I guess I don't know that I hear them. From this distance?
I don't. Yeah, you might hear some kind of noises echoing up from down below, but it's a little unclear. So.
But yeah, I think that I think at this point, like I have some information that the bone crown might be a problem, right? Like that is the information that I'm trying to relay to Isabella and Laurent. And so I think that is where the labor needs to be done.
You hear someone yelling in the catacombs. Hello, 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 and someone running around before you get to the stairs.
Who goes there?
He's like, hello, hello, it's Kelvin. Hello, are you still down here?
Kelvin, get your lazy ass over here.
He like runs. I think he sees you, and he says, he's like, oh, you're still there. The walls, they're it's terrible out there. It's terrible. I ran down here. I didn't know what else to do.
It's okay. And I put my human hand on his shoulder.
We're all going to die. Don't you see? We're all going to die. This is it. We're all going to be buried down here with the rest of these bodies.
Walls can be rebuilt, Kelvin. And it begins here. Come with me.
He's like, are we going to safety? Are we getting away from this place?
We're going to rebuild the wall.
He doesn't know what that means, but he follows you. Okay. The offer. No, I'm going to go back down the bone pit.
It's cruel.
You go tumbling a little bit, Isabella. You can pick yourself up, Laurent, and you see old King Smule there, the apparition old King Smule, and he's just kind of there, like floating near you both, maybe in between you.
So call out to Isabella and just kind of pointing towards. I've got one of those throwing axes in my hand. I point towards old King Smule and say, I don't know what to do about him. You deal with him, Isabella. And then I'm just going to turn and throw that throwing axe at the golem.
Indeed. It's scrambling to try to get, it's actually also temporary. I think it just falls apart. Like maybe your axe hits it and just kind of crumbles, right? Because it wasn't powerful magic because of the counterspell to begin with.
Right.
Nevertheless, Isabella, what do you do?
I'm trying to lock down Old King Smule with a spell.
Okay.
The idea being he's dead and he needs to stay that way. Kind of trying to invoke stasis magic.
Oh, I see. Interesting. Well,
7. So the spell takes effect, but choose 2. The spell has unforeseen side effects and might draw unwanted attention. And the spell affects much more or much less than you wanted it to.
unwanted side effects. Old King Smule stays dead. Do you have to like maintain the spell? Or like how does that part of it work?
It doesn't say. It affects much more or much less. It has unforeseen side effects and might draw unwanted attention. I could see. I don't know. I could see it being something that I would have to either renew or maintain somehow. I don't know. I guess it would depend on how it really went off.
Well, I think for it to last permanently, it'd have to be a ritual, right?
Yeah.
So I think this is just maybe a sort of like temporary bit, enough for this adventure at least, right? He just he begins to fade, and he smiles at you, and he says, "I've waited for a very, very long time. Patience is one virtue very, very particular to me." And it just fades away.
And I think I'm breathing heavily, and I'm like, and you can just keep on waiting.
Is that the end of him? Is there...
I think that's probably the end of the session. We'll do epilogues, but I think that's kind of where we're stopping there. But before we do, let's figure out our deal. At the precise moment that your father reaches out to you to take your hand, to beckon you to go across the Black Gate, your father looks at you and he smiles and says, "Would you be willing to light the beacon again?"
No.
And he pulls you through. And you step through the gate. Let's have an epilogue. You can go forward in time as much as you wish. Keep it pretty personal. Nothing really focused on the world. That's okay. But just a glimpse. Laurent, where do we see you?
So, I think, after we make it out of there and everything, I don't really feel, I'm sure Solomon told us that what Sarah said about Morvo being dead already.
Right.
But since we didn't do it. I don't feel that, I don't feel deserving. We didn't complete it. Somebody else did it. So I just kind of break off from the group and go back to my people and present like our elder with the ebony quill, and kind of through all this journey in time, like struggling with Dumas and like keep hearing his voice and him like affecting me in different ways. He may even be trying to get me to go back and light the beacon or whatever.
Indeed. I would say that like Oliver's decision probably puts old King Smule out of commission for a while. He won't be troubling the world for some time.
So, maybe he's directing me towards the next one that he set
exactly
up.
Right. Remember, I know. You'll recall there were more than one old king and old queen.
Yeah,
right.
He did say old kings.
Right. Isabella, where do we see you?
I think that I use this strange portal thing to get that sarcophagus moved, and I move it into that basement underneath my cabin in Frostdale, that under the hidden trapdoor. And I know that when Logan died, he hoped his friends would bring his body back should he die in Dim Carcosa. And if they had, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Isabella putting an old skeleton into the sarcophagus.
Interesting. I'd like to go one step further and or alter that, if you don't mind, a little bit, and say instead of a skeleton, they put Logan's old cloak. You put Logan's old cloak into the sarcophagus.
That sounds interesting too. Mm-hmm. Could it be a skeleton wrapped in his cloak?
I don't think so, because I don't think they ever recovered his body. They didn't, because they left him there. They ran, right, when he died. No one ever went back. But they did grab the cloak. Remember, once his face grabbed the cloak, Dune, Paradusk.
That'll work.
What about you, Solomon? What do we see you?
Am I guess I'm going in search of the grandson. So is that Kelvin, or do I head to the bar to find the person that I will know is the grandson?
We should talk about how the fight went. The siege broke instantly when Oliver passed through the gate. The beastmen turned around. The dragon flew off. The last of the skirmishes ended, and that was it. You never find this person, and Kelvin acts like he doesn't know what you're talking about.
I
think Solomon wraps his spider hand in a, and he just wraps it. He doesn't want it visible or public. And I think that he sets to work rebuilding the wall through the siege, and waiting for the next keeper to be hunted.
Indeed. Oliver, show us how the world remembers you, if it does.
So the world remembers Oliver through all of the children that were born from the people who weren't killed from the siege. But that's it.
Nice. Good. Although they, how did they know? I guess how did they find out? Like who spread the word that like you helped with that? Was that Solomon possibly? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Good. Great. Well, let's do our end of session. Any excess XP that you collected, Ridley, if we ever get to play Dungeon World again, if you want to do We Hunt the Keepers again, you get to take that excess XP and put it on your new character. So
awesome.
Anything that was unspent, basically. So let's do end of session. Let's look at flags. How did flags go? If you think you hit one, just call it out.
I feel like I hit Lauron's reject me after witnessing Dumas' power or control when I fled after seeing his sword glow.
Yeah. It was a good scene, if nothing else. So.
Yeah.
Cool. Anybody else have a flag?
I think that I hit Laurent's give me an order so I can refuse it by trying to get him to take that wall down.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
I feel like at a number of points, people offered me easier solutions that I must.
Yeah, you were playing that up pretty good. Yeah. But well, whose did you hit? That's the key. Did you hit?
Yeah, I don't think I hit any. I just know that people hit that, and I
yours. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I kind of hit Isabella's when convention fails, seek me out for a magical solution because I told her to deal with King Solomon.
Oh yeah, like right after you just tried to tackle him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Smule. Awesome. Let's do alignment. Use magic to cause terror and fear. Isabella, what do you think? Yeah. I don't think so. I'm not remembering anything.
Not really, unless we count the spider hand like drying that poor woman to a husk.
No.
Oh God.
That was out of your hands, I think, at that point. Out of your hand. Laurent, defeat a worthy opponent. Sure, you were involved in the fight against Old King Smule and the Beholder. Oliver Kane, avoid detection or infiltrate a location. Yes, I think you're dodging the Black Dragon was pretty good in that regard. It's in the spirit of it, if nothing else, kind of. And a couple of other things too. Solomon Ives, endanger yourself following the precepts of your church of God. Oh yeah, sure, you definitely did that. You had plenty of chances to get out of dodge, and you didn't. Let's go to the group questions. Did we loot a memorable treasure? Yes, the sarcophagus. Did we defeat a worthy opponent? Yes, at least the Beholder and more or less Old King Smule. Did we learn something new and important about the world? Yeah, you did. Some of you did, at least. Solomon definitely did. So that's great. And just to clarify that for you, Aaron, in case you didn't put it all together, essentially what happened in this campaign world, and other people who've been playing in it have already figured this out in their own ways, but basically in this campaign world, long time ago, the gods and the saints went to war with demons, and these demons defeated them and then captured them and put them in a cell with 1,000 keys. And the keepers are people who are trying to use the keys, these 1,000 keys, to unlock the cell the gods and the saints are in and bring them back into the world. You guys are essentially the bad guys in this, right?
So, sounds like the church has got all their shit wrong.
No, they know exactly what they're doing because the church is now basically run by a host of demons, essentially, and demon lords. And they want to kill the keepers for this purpose, right? These are all things we know. Malgoliant managed to make it to where she did not get put in the cage, and instead made an offer, or basically like said, hey, I promise I will never try to re-enter the world if you just let me go back to my own realm. But she's called the Brown Spirit of Disobedience by some because she disobeyed, that she's breaking that offer and trying to get back. So
that's awesome.
And she doesn't give a shit about keepers and keys. Like, that's got nothing to do with her. That was it. Suitably epic, I think.
Yeah.
good epic feel to it. How'd you guys feel about it?
It was crazy and awesome and had a whole lot going on.
It's good.
I want to see more of it.
Yeah, well, I run it routinely for the Gauntlet at different times. Getting into the games is not easy, but they are a thing.
Yeah.
Waitlist though opens up sometimes. So, yeah, I thought you guys did really great. Personally, I think I felt like there was a lot of emotional resonance going on. Oliver's move there at the end really gutted me. I thought for sure he was going to take the deal, but but in not taking the deal, it has a huge impact on the campaign world, right? But it was pretty it was a tough decision. How'd you feel about making that decision, Ridley? Like, were you did you just do what felt right, or?
More or less. I felt like Oliver, he's selfish, but he's seen death and he saw the black dragon. He couldn't knowingly inflict that on anyone, even the nobles of the castle. Like, that's too much.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Also, as far as emotional resonance goes, I thought all the stuff with Osera and the alleged grandson and all that business was really, really interesting. And there are a couple of moments where I was just like, oh God, I feel like such a cruel fuck doing this right now. But I don't care. I'm doing it.
I really want it to be Kelvin.
I like the sort of I like the almost sort of the idea of maybe she wasn't lying. Maybe there was somebody back at the bar,
Yeah.
But who knows, right? So it's all kind of up in the air. It wasn't Kelvin though, or at least she never told him. Although I was suggesting that he didn't even know who Osera was, so that was not
right.
There was nothing there. Yeah. So.
Okay.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
I'm glad Isabella got her sarcophagus.
Yeah, that'll be interesting.
Yeah, I hope it does. I hope we don't just open it up one day and there's just a woman whose face is not but tentacles. But
yeah,
that would be disappointing.
Logan's cloak was basically a sort of Cthulhuid horror by the end. So that's what he's stuck in the sarcophagus. We'll see if there's enough of Logan's DNA in there to reform him or whatever. But
yeah, that sure would be interesting. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, and there's also I think there's also an interesting world angle with the Dumas sword too, because basically now we've established in the fiction that there are these ancient kings and queens who also want to return to the world, right? And who knows where they fit in on the spectrum of people who want to get their claws on this place, right? So, but they sound like they're probably solo operators, though. I don't think they're all together. So,
yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah. But I do like this idea of this wizard, in ancient times, basically making pacts with all these ancient kings and queens, saying, "Hey, your time will end someday, but it doesn't have to. You could come back, right?"
Yeah, see, now I'm wondering if he created the ebony quill or.
Who knows? There's all kinds of interesting implications, I suppose. Lots of mysteries. So.
Yeah.
But it was lovely. I thought you guys did a great job. I had a lot of fun. I don't have anything else to say except that Kate and Rich are doing a contest for prizes right now. If you go to the G Plus page, you just have to say good stuff that your GM did. I'll happily take your compliments on G Plus for a chance to win prizes. But basically, you can do that for all your games, right? If all the games you played, if you just say something nice about the game runner or your GM, you get an entry every time you do that, basically. So for the prizes.
Oh, is it just a random drawing, or is it
I think they're gonna draw from a hat or something. So. It's for the people making the comments, not the GMs. It's for the people,
right?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
It's just a way to encourage like kind of sharing the good feeling of GauntletCon, like, you know, kind of getting that out there. So
that's a neat idea.
Nice.